The auction yard buzzed with noise, boots thudding, animals calling out, and fast-talking auctioneers shouting over it all. Dust swirled in the air, catching the morning light like golden mist. Horses stood in pens, some proud and strong, others quiet and unsure. Buyers walked by, checking teeth, muscles, and coats like they were shopping for furniture. In the farthest pen, near a broken fence where weeds poked through the wood, stood a small colt. Thin, scared, barely a year old. His coat was dull, his ribs visible, and his eyes wide with fear. He didn't call out, didn't stomp, didn't do anything to get noticed. His tag read 143. No one gave him a second glance. Not worth a dime, one man muttered. Looks like he's never had a real meal, another added. He won't survive the week, someone else said, walking away to one bid. Then a woman stepped into the yard. She wasn't flashy, no high boots or expensive clothes. Her jeans were worn, her jacket faded from years of sun and wind. Her name was Mara, and she hadn't planned on coming to the auction that day, not after everything she'd lost. Her husband, Eli, had passed 2 winters ago. Since then, the ranch had gone quiet. Not just the land, but her heart too. But something strange happened the night before. She'd dreamed of a colt, weak, trembling, standing alone in a storm. He looked straight at her, as if waiting. She woke up with tears in her eyes and a need she couldn't explain. So there she was. Mara moved slowly through the yard, not looking at muscle or posture, but at eyes. She paused here and there, clicking her tongue, watching how each horse responded. None held her attention, until she reached the last pen. There he was. 143, still, quiet, alone. His eyes didn't look at her, but somehow, they still reached her. She stepped closer. He didn't flinch. She saw the scars on his belly, rough breaks, bad training. Someone had tried to force him into something he wasn't ready for. He didn't have any fight left. Only fear. One of the workers passed behind her. That one, he said, shaking his head. Useless. Some backyard breeder dropped him off. Won't even eat. Mara didn't answer. She held out her hand, palm open, waiting. The colt sniffed once, then nothing. She whispered, "What's your story?" No one answered. Then came the auction. Voices rose again. Horses were sold, deals made. When 143 was called, silence followed. He limped into the ring, legs shaking, breath uneven. Lot 143, the auctioneer called. Young colt. Needs work, but could be a project. Do I hear 20? 10. 5. Silence. Mara stepped forward. I'll take him. Everyone turned. You will? The auctioneer asked, surprised. Yes. The gavel hit the table, sold to the lady in blue. As the colt was led back, Mara followed. The handler handed her the rope. He's yours now. She took it gently. The colt didn't pull, didn't follow, just stood. Mara knelt slightly. You're not number 143 anymore, she said softly. A pause. I think your name is Toby. At that, the colt blinked slowly. Then, to everyone's shock, maybe even his own, he took one small step toward her. Just one, but it was enough. Murmurs spread through the crowd that he moved when she said his name. It was like he understood. Mara gave the rope the gentlest tug. This time, he followed, hooves tapping against the dirt as they left the yard together. Behind them, dust rose like a veil. Something shifted in the air, like a song finally finding its note. For the first time in months, Mara didn't feel empty. Back at River Hollow Ranch, the hills rolled soft beneath the sky, and the barn stood, weathered but strong. Toby stayed in a round pen near the barn, safe from the other horses, safe from judgment. Mara didn't rush him. She spoke to him every day. You're safe now. You'll learn. You don't have to be afraid. Sometimes she brought apples. At first, he ignored them. Then he sniffed. Then, one day, he picked one up from the ground. Later, he took one from her hand. Her breath caught that night. She told him stories about Eli, how he used to fix fences barefoot, how he hated dancing until he danced with her, how he passed away fixing a water trough in Westfield, watching the sunset. I know what it's like to be left with too much quiet, she said that night. Toby didn't pace. He lay down. Mara watched from her window and cried, without fully knowing why. The next morning, he stood by the gate before she even arrived. She smiled. They began training, soft brushes, gentle touches, steady steps. Each day, a little more. Trust. Then came the storm. Rain poured hard. Thunder cracked open the sky. Mara awoke to find Toby gone. She ran into the storm, lantern shaking in her hand. Toby. Lightning lit the field. Then hooves. She turned. There he was, soaked, shivering, scared, but running toward her. She dropped the lantern and walked to him. He lowered his head and nuzzled her chest. She looped the lead around his neck, not to pull, but to walk beside him. Together, through the storm, weeks passed. Toby grew stronger. He learned to walk beside her, to listen, to trust. Then, one crisp autumn morning, a letter arrived, an invitation. The State Youth Horse Exhibition wanted a rescued horse to show the world what resilience looked like. They wanted Toby. Mara looked at him. He stood tall by the fence, tail flicking, ears alert. He let out a soft whinny. She smiled. They were ready. On the morning of the exhibition, fog curled over the hills. Mara stood beside the trailer, checking gear, trying to calm her nerves. Inside, Toby stood quietly, listening. She touched his neck. We've got this. She hadn't told many people they were going. It wasn't about showing off. It was about showing the world what healing looks like. When they entered the arena, the crowd murmured. Toby wasn't polished. His build was lean. His steps weren't perfect. But he followed every cue, every whisper, every whistle. Then came the moment no one expected. Mara unclipped the lead. Stepped back. Toby stood free in the center of the arena. Silence. Then, a low whistle. Short, then long. Toby turned. Walked to her. Sure-footed. Trusting. The crowd erupted in applause. Someone wiped their eyes. Mara blinked back tears. This wasn't about tricks. It was about trust. Afterward, people came up to her. One older man tipped his hat. That's a fine horse you've got, ma'am. Mara shook her head. He made himself. She said quietly, I just listened. Back at the stable that night, she sat outside Toby's stall, coffee in hand, stars overhead. She thought of Eli, how he used to say, animals don't pretend. They just are. Now she understood. Toby looked at her, not with fear, not with confusion, but with recognition. She placed a hand on his forehead. We did good today. He blinked slowly, warm breath on her palm. She walked away lighter than she'd felt in years. The next morning, a young woman approached her. She worked at a youth therapy center. We're expanding, she said. We're looking for horses like Toby. Not just trained, but experienced in healing. Mara looked at Toby. He stood relaxed, waiting. I might be interested, she said. They exchanged numbers. As she drove away from the fairgrounds, the road stretched out ahead, not back to what was, but forward to what could be. If this story moved you, if you believe in second chances, if you've ever felt unseen and found hope in the most unlikely place, then hit subscribe, drop a comment below. Tell us where you're watching from and what this story meant to you. Because sometimes healing doesn't come with fanfare. Sometimes it comes with a quiet step and a name spoken with love. Moral lesson. Even the weakest among us can grow strong when given patience, kindness, and a chance.